I am a very funny man. And when I realised how funny I was, I saw many openings as a comedian for myself. Because when I was younger, I was up at the Farmers Do at Kemney, wearing a couple of drinks and a couple of jokes. And I can tell you, the adrenaline rush I get from telling a joke makes it very special for me. I mean, to be a comedian, you have to have something special. And I have it. I mean, I've got a theory of comedy that looks at the philosophy side of it. And if you look at that, if you look at the fit makes somebody laugh, you realise that the northeast countryside makes people laugh, makes me laugh anyhow. It's just the whole atmosphere on a rainy day up at Darvis. If you look at that, it's magic. It's comedy personified. I'm not getting what that means, but I'm sure it is. Looking at the land in the northeast, you realise it's a hard life, and it's been a hard life for the people, still is a hard life for the people. And I think the comedy aspect of it comes out of the tragedy, of the drudgery that abounds in the firms, in the crofts. And when George came, I mean, he's had a spell down in London. And for a rare man, I'd no doubt about it. When I talked to him, I sold the farm to him.
When Duncan sold me his fell, I promised to make a star out of him. And basically, I needed that as finance. Because obviously I don't have money to outlay to make him a star, but I can tell him how to do it. And I can give him guidance. And he's paying for my professional ability to become a star.
He gives me an allowance every week. 22 quid a week.
I pay Duncan £100 a week. It seems to keep him in beer and other things. Myself, I have my own expenses which I have to take out of that because I am his promoter. I have to keep myself going, you know, transport, costs, organising and booking venues for him, you know, just general everyday things of a manager.
Fit kind of people think I'm funny. Huh, but he thinks I'm funny. I'm a funny man. My granny, she's a hard woman, but I think she's fair. And she helps in that respect. I mean, if you look at the content of my material, it's probably dictated by her hardness and fairness.
He's just a lot of rubbish. He should have never sold the fair in the first place. He'll never make a comedian, John Block, never. He'll never be a comedian for how much he kids himself on. Now, take a like a Les Dennis. He was on the telly the night. Does he think he'll ever be like that? Oh, was he kidding? As for the manager, he's just a bare-faced crook. That's what he is. He's diddled us out of the firm, money, everything.
Well, me and Mrs. Guthrie have a special relationship. I think she's basically getting on in years, and you know, I just have to play along with her basically. And she doesn't understand what's best for Duncan. I think I do.
I now can work on my jokes full time. I set myself a very strict standard. I'm up at 9, and well, I'm up at 6 actually, but I start at 9, writing my jokes, and I just sit there and I set myself a target of about three jokes in a couple of hours. My God, it's hard, I'll tell you that. It's no easy waiting for that inspiration to come. But when it does, oh God, the excitement. I mean, when you think about it, the sky's the limit. That's what George says. My granny, she has doubts, but I'll prove to her. Granny, think of this joke.
Rubbish.
I haven't said it yet. Right? There's 2 Irishmen hanging out a plane. Right? God knows what they were doing there.
Just rubbish again.
I finished my material late morning. It's in a very rough form at that time. It's just creative sparks, genius, dare I say it. So it's in a very rough form and it needs to be knocked into shape. So I find the best solution to do is go down to George's, because he's got that professional edge. What I normally do is I take the bus, because he's in them flash cars. It's a Mercedes. But it's never mended. It's always off the road. So I just take a bus down, take it, and I find that a useful time for bouncing ideas off the public, because that's what they are, public service, and that's a public and my public. So I'll maybe do ideas, just tell a joke. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. And if I get feedback off some bunter on the bus, then I can that I've got a gem. And George normally agrees with me in that.
What about this one?
Okay.
My wife is so fat, she's dead.
Well, really, Duncan, you've got it all wrong there, because it should be my wife was so fat.
Oh, I know.
She's
Okay.
dead.
My wife is so fat.
No, was so fat.
My wife was.
No, was so fat.
My wife was so fat.
It's in the past tense, man.
She's ill.
Aye. No. But if you can't even get the fundamentals right, I mean, can you do?
I would say I've got a clever sense of humour.
A man walks into a fish and chip shop, and I says to him, I says, "Can I have a poke of fish and chips?" And the guy goes, "I want to be long." And he goes, "Oh, hang on, I forgot. Hang on.
I think I've heard that in there as well.
I want to be long."
The joke is,
Aye.
and you'll have to get it right in the night. To be honest,
I can that. Yeah, you're
I mean,
not
you're
a complete amateur, you know.
for time and ability, you're as good as British Rail.
Oh, that's a goodie.
I think, without doubt, one of the most clever aspects of comedy is having a feel for the stage. So for the last 4 years, I've been hiring the Village Hall. £4 an hour. It's a fair enough place. It's big enough to give me an idea of how to walk around the stage, express myself. And I think it's paying dividends.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Duncan Guthrie. What is brown and sounds like a bell? Dumb. What is one of the main causes of sleepwalking? Twin beds.
My content and my jokes, I have to think about that. I'll tell you one thing, I will nae no filth.
I'd like to tell you some of my own jokes that I've made up myself. For example, my wife's house is so untidy, we don't have a carpet, we've just got topsoil. But less of this, maybe it's time for a sing-song. I'd like to sing a song that's a great favourite of mine, and it goes something like this.
Caesar's Palace, we're hoping to get him on a 9 o'clock slot. It'll be his first exposure in the big city, you know, metropolis of Aberdeen. And I'm hoping he's going to crack the market there. He's got a lot of good material, he's been working on it, I've been hashing it about with him, and I think he's ready now for the big time. And once he's a hit there, you know, the world's his oyster. He'll be playing London in about 6 months' time, I think, after a concert tour around the country.
And I can't wait. I've got my big gig in Aberdeen. I've been there once before. But it's Caesar's Palace, Aberdeen. My goal, and I think my chance to really prove that I am a very funny man.
Well, he's a natural. He's just an absolute natural. I mean, you can see it. I mean, he's lived all his life in that sort of environment in the country. And he's taken that sort of humour to the cities. And I think that's a new thing and it'll appeal to people. I mean, he's brought the house down out in Guthrie in the past. And I think that with the right management, the right material, he could move on, expand, and be a big hit all over the country.
Oh, 2 hours to go. Excitement mounts. Tie, red, passionate, just like me. Couple of jokes, let's see, a couple of jokes. Joss will be taking his car round, two-tone.
black and rust. Didn't let him tell me, you know. Didn't like talking behind his back like that, what the hell. George was saying that the dressing room in the building's quite high up, so I went round, I had a bit of a look around. Fair enough, right enough, high up, my God, flock and droppings on the floor, and the mice were having blackouts. God, I've got it, I really have got it, I tell you. Granny, what do you think?
In the name of goodness. You're like a third-rate comedian, that's what you're like. And what you do with that filthy thing in your mouth? Put it in the fire.
No, it's sophisticated. Caesar's Palace.
It's
Caesar's Palace tonight.
We'll go out Telton and get lost with him my road. And we send name here.
They was howling in the picture like a caravan. That'll be
What's
George.
that?
That'll be George now, I think.
And first, George, I hope he's not a corn man at your cane. What's he doing here anyway?
Honey, would you shut up, for God's sake?
You shut up yourself.
It's
Go at him.
George!
Aye.
Granny's okay.
Well,
Granny? Granny, guess what it is?
hello there, Mrs.
I
Guthrie.
don't know how to guess. I came for you are. A silly ass, that's all you are. Is that your pal?
George has got some
yes.
flowers for you, Granny.
Ah, so I see, yeah. Soft soap in are you?
Aye, yes.
Cup of tea, George, cup of tea. Have a seat, have a
Well,
seat.
I'll stand if you don't mind, because
Okay,
we'll be off
fine.
in a couple of minutes.
Right,
First said you get a cup of tea, I didn't it?
Now,
Granny, I was thinking a couple of ideas before we go, right?
Uh-huh,
I
yeah,
was-
yeah.
Look,
Just
what I
keep
was
on
thinking,
thinking.
Granny, please,
Just
Granny.
keep on thinking.
Granny,
Go
right.
at him.
just hit me with them, come on.
Right, I come in. I've got my, I can't work out whether the button,
Uh-huh.
because I think that matters. The
Uh-huh.
way, because the audience is going to...
Aye.
What-
Well,
what
I think
more
what I would do, it's your first night.
Good evening, ladies and
You don't want
gentlemen.
to appear too suave, you know, have it buttoned up, formal.
Daily. That's what I need.
Hit them with the first
Granny,
few
he's an
opening
expert, I'll
lines,
tell you, he knows for that. He
and
knows.
then go for the loosening of the jacket.
Aye.
Because you can use that as part of your act, you see.
Aye.
You can take it off, drape it around the back of the seat,
What about
You know?
changing rooms?
sip your water. Changing rooms, well, we've got the urinals on the second floor. As long as you don't bother the punters, you know, you can have a cubicle.
Right, okay, look, we
You have to be
go.
quick.
Right, we're going. What about the car? Fast car, is it?
Well, afraid I took the bus up here.
Come on, George, you
And,
said we've got to...
Well, I was...
Granny, I'll be taking the
held
car
up there,
tonight.
Chris.
Oh, you will.
Aye,
Did I
there's been
say you
There's
could?
been a slip-up with
Aye,
George's,
aye.
but that's
Aye,
fine,
it's
that's
in getting
great.
the brakes done.
Great, okay,
but
fine.
we'll have it for the future. I mean,
Aye.
don't you worry about that.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
put your twist that
I'll
out.
put Granny's on that.
I'll be a bit late tonight, but we're off now,
You can
okay?
bed you till the time you need to come back.
Come on now, George.
You go.
We'll get a cup
Okay,
of
well,
tea.
we can discuss it in the car as
Aye,
well.
great. Granny,
Hash
I'll
around
leave
a
you.
bit.
Then I come back. You
Just
take
take
your
it.
floors with you and then I come
George.
back.
Well, we'll put them in water for you, Mrs.
Ah, you
Guthrie.
better.
All right, Granny, thanks very
Ah,
much.
granny. Go
Okay.
on him.
Okay.
All right then, George.
Goodbye, Mrs. Guthrie.
I won't be back till late.
Then I come back ever.
I didn't think fame is going to change me. I mean, it's fit you want. There's a couple of things I'd like. I'd like to buy my granny, well, she wants her fields back, and she wants a bigger herd. But that's all I'd spend my money on. Didn't need no fancy gold jewellery, one of those fancy motor cars, a Massey Ferguson, but that would be it. Girls, oh, some cracking chicks doing it in London. I tell you, that's a temptation, but didn't tell my granny that. Oh, I could cope with fame. Definitely. I'd love it. Marvellous. I'm a comedian first and foremost. And I think I have something to prove to, it may just be Aberdeen, Caesar's Palace, one night. As George says, this could go big. And I respect that. I feel excited, revitalised, and I ken in my heart that I am a very funny man.